Okay, our next speaker is the co-founder and CEO of AKTO.io, an open source API security platform. She's here to share the roadmap to DevSecOps adoption. Please welcome Anita Gupta to the stage.
Yeah, too many things in my hand. Is this working? Great. Hope you can hear me. Hi, guys. My name is Ankita. I am the co-founder and CEO of Acto.io. It's an open source API security platform. Thanks, Ben and Teleport team, for inviting us to speak. I'll just try and see if this clicker works. Great. So I'll be speaking on roadmap to DevSecOps adoption, and this topic is close to our heart because we've just very recently adopted, DevSecOps process in our company. So it's fresh, and there are few very actionable steps that I want to talk about, in the roadmap here. So the agenda is very brief on what is DevSecOps. Second is what is DevOps versus DevSecOps, how it actually changed from DevOps to DevSecOps, and 5 steps to DevSecOps adoption. What is DevSecOps? DevSecOps is actually security built literally into DevOps. And you see about 18 controls over here. These are about 16 of them are actually security controls, and the rest 3 are DevOps controls. And so what was DevOps before DevSecOps? It was actually build, package, test, and deploy. Those simple DevOps controls. And I have now 16 of them. There's code analysis, there's security by design, there is supply chain analysis, there's vulnerability scanning, API security testing, and whatnot. These are many controls. And how do you sort of first add these controls into the DevOps pipeline? How do you make sure they don't, delay the release cycle? They don't create a lot of false alarm. And how can I do it all of these checks into the DevOps pipeline? It's hard. It's very hard. We did it, and I can tell you it's not easy, especially if you're a large company. Why it's important? Some companies which have very successfully done it, to name a few: Netflix, Capital One, Adobe, Twilio, Etsy, Comcast. There are multiple resources on these companies adopting DevSecOps, especially Netflix. That's one of my favorite ones because it's done it beautifully well, very different kind of the process that they've adopted also. So I'd highly recommend you check out some of these some of these companies. But now we'll delve more into first cultural shift. How did it happen? What was DevOps actually? So traditional DevOps really just focused on fast delivery. I want to release my product fast. And second, quality assurance, QA testing. That's it. Fast product and QA testing. That was my DevOps. And if you see on the right, I have a little bit of screenshot of my GitHub pipeline, which is 4 jobs: build, test, package, and deploy. That's it. That was the DevOps pipeline traditionally. And what were the teams involved? These were devs, platform, infra. That's all. But what is it now? What is DevSecOps? It is security built into the DevOps pipeline, which means, you see the screenshot, there are some 5 elements, security controls added. And these are from my DevSecOps pipeline. These are secret leaks check, SEMGREV, which is SAST. There's API security, there's LLM security, there's probably ISE scan, and all of those. So we've added these into our DevOps pipeline. How do we do it? How do we even go ahead and start the DevSecOps process? Let's talk more about it. So there are 5 steps to DevSecOps adoption. I mean, there can be more, but these are 5 very critical steps that you should learn. while you're adopting DevSecOps. Okay, so first one is assessment of current security posture. And we'll go into the depth of these 5. Integrate security into the CI/CD pipeline. 3rd, monitor, log, and respond. 4th, feedback and iterative improvement. 5th, continuous security training and awareness. Let's start with the first one, assessment of current security posture. So you see over here, there's like an X and Y axis, like a table kind of a graph, which is done on OWASP Juice Shop, which is like a vulnerable application developed by OWASP. I mean, it's part of the OWASP community. What I've done over here is, it's a very quick exercise I did for this application. On the left, the Y-axis is all my assets, which is web servers, databases, application, operating system, everything that you have, in terms of assets. On the X-axis is all the kind of exploits we can have on these assets, which is, API attack, DDoS attack, shared passwords, social engineering, everything possible. You want to kind of have this kind of a metrics for your application and see which assets can be exploited by which of these exploits. For example, third-party services can be exploited, by API attacks or like phishing, social engineering, all of these. So now that I have this matrix, I know what my security posture is like. And this is very small because I'm using like Juice Shop. For your application, it'll be huge. You will have a lot more assets. You'll have a lot more ways to exploit. So it really depends on your organization, your application, your infrastructure. So once I have this kind of a matrix, now at least I know what my security posture is like. How do we even solve for security for these assets? So here it is, step 2, which is the heart of DevSecOps, integrating security into the CI/CD pipeline. And what you see over here is actually my GitHub jobs, from build, test, package, and deploy. I've added like 5 security checks more, which is secret leaks, SAST, API security, LLM security, and TerraScan. So I've added these 5. You might want to add more, but this is the basic ones I've added for my DevSecOps pipeline. And if you want to start, you kind of want to probably start with open source tools, which I am using. So these are some recommendations: security, access to infrastructure, Teleport, obviously, SAST, SemGrep, secret scanning, Trufflehog, IAC scanning, TerraScan, dependencies, Dependabot. Dependabot is not open source, but it's part of GitHub, so it's easy to use and integrate. DAST, IAST, API security testing, Actor.io. These are all open source and very easy to integrate. I mean, I've integrated in pretty easy. It works well. So let's start with the very first thing that you want to do is secure access to infrastructure. That's Teleport. We all know about it. You don't want to give all access to all of your engineers and engineering managers and infra and DevOps, and you kind of want to give customized access to all of these people. So that's Teleport comes in very handy for that. So you do the first thing you do is secure access to infrastructure. Second, SAST. So I've kind of combined 3 things over here: Trufflehog, SemGrep, and TerraScan. What these 3 things do is, one is secret leaks, which is, on the left you see a screenshot where Trufflehog has detected, and I'm using Juice Shop, by the way, for all of this demo purposes. Trufflehog has detected a secret key, a private key in my commit. So even before I'm able to commit, it's detected this private key, and it's not letting me commit the code. So that's extremely, extremely important. Like we have had cases where our developers have actually committed, SendGrid keys, and it's gave us alarms and whatnot, and we had to kind of go back and fix it. The second is SemGrep summary, which it's detecting SQL injection in the code. It's very easy to use static code analysis tool. You have built-in rules, or you can add your own custom rules. But once you set in, it will kind of detect all of the like basic injection, especially injection attacks through code. The third one is TerraScan, ISE scan. So we use AWS, and we have a lot of AWS policies configured. So this TerraScan is actually validating 144 policies at the bottom on the right, and it has detected about 8 violated policies, out of which 2 are high. So you kind of want to go and specially fix the high vulnerabilities here. The next one is, now that you have done all your code analysis, the third part of it is DAST, or API security testing, which Acto can do very well. It's also our product. So what you do over here is you kind of test in a dynamic environment, and it has detected, as you can see on the left, 4 high vulnerabilities, which are broken authentication, some are BOLA-related broken authorization. And there's a small graph on the right at the bottom, which tells, there were some vulnerabilities that we detected earlier, but now developers have fixed them, so there are no vulnerabilities now. So those interesting things you can do when you're doing, CI/CD checks in your DevSecOps pipeline. Step 3. So step 2 was integrating security in CI/CD. Step 3 is monitor, log, and respond. And extremely, extremely important. Why you want to do it is, actually, what I have done over here is I've added all my access logs to like Nginx, Linux, Kubernetes, Docker, and wherever possible you want to monitor, add heavy logging. Wherever possible you want to record each and every activity. And why? You remember, just like a couple of days back, Okta had this huge incident. And how did Okta understand, what happened, why it happened, how did it respond? It was actually logging every single activity of all their users, everyone who entered their application, and that's how they were able to quickly respond and understand what happened during the breach. And this is what's extremely important. Step 4, okay, so this thing kind of becomes super important, and we've seen it firsthand in our company. You've put all of these things, all of the nice tools, security checks in CI/CD, but how do you make sure these are improving? Every time developer is committing the code, the checks remain same. If you're not giving that feedback, if you don't have a proper loop of iterative improvement. So that's very important, and it's not like you've set up a Jira dashboard and those are going to solve by themselves. You kind of want to have a process where you're collaboratively working with your developers to make sure they understand, these are the vulnerabilities that we have found. How do you fix it? You don't want to give them everything to fix. You want to sort of help them by, what we do is, hey, just fix the critical ones, or fix only the ones which you've detected, new ones you've detected in this release cycle, not the old ones. So small things which can help your developers fix security, slowly is a much better process than just like giving them tons of issues to solve for. So that's like continuous feedback and iterative improvement, step 4. And the last one, which I think is super important, is you don't want your developers to think of security as something that's blocking their releases, or something which is, I don't want to do it. It's like some extra work. It's like, I have to fix it, but I don't understand this kind of a thing. What we have done is, we're also in the process of doing it better, but at least monthly, we kind of sit with developers and give them training on some of these tools that we have set, some of the high vulnerabilities that they have, some of the very important things that they shouldn't do, which is, don't put in your private keys while you're committing the code, things like those. And these are young developers who are really good at writing code, but you want to give them more and more security training. So that's what we do. There are a lot of these that you can do. You can do trainings, you can do hands-on workshops, some security challenges, feedback loop, some different kind of learnings, but extremely important, again, in your DevSecOps adoption process. Yeah, so these are the 5 steps. 5 actually most critical steps. There can be, you can add more of these, like 10, you can make 15, but 5 most critical are these. Assessment of security posture. We learned about integrating security in CI/CD, monitor, log, and respond, feedback, and iterative improvement, and continuous security training and awareness. So yeah, that's it. Some tools, references I talked about are here. You can take a picture. Yeah, that's it. Open for Q&A, and I know there's lunch at 12. I don't know what the time is, but yeah, go ahead, ask questions.
Any questions for Ankita?
So everyone understood DevSecOps.
Got one here. All right.
Do you see an organization having like a split between their engineering to folks that are just doing DevSecOps, or do you see them like as one?
You mean
Like DevOps, from a persona perspective, like a developer is the same person as who's doing the DevSecOps?
Oh no. So what we have seen, and I'll talk about my previous company and current company. In my previous company, there was no DevSecOps. There was developers. It was completely DevOps. But when they introduced security, they kind of got developers only to adopt security little by little. There was no security person specially assigned. In my current company, we have DevSecOps as a role. So there's developers who are writing code, who are getting training on security, but there's also DevSecOps who's helping these developers and security people sort of bridge this gap. So you want to have, depending on the size of the company, you want to have a DevSecOps who's sort of helping the developers also.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wish I could teleport over here. It'd be a lot faster.
Hey, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and this entire presentation with us. One of the biggest challenges that large organizations have, in my opinion, around API security is just knowing what APIs they have and where they are and who manages them. Some have hundreds or thousands of APIs out there. How do you tackle that very first problem of like identifying, I know I need API security, but I have no idea how many APIs I have or where they are because I'm a large fintech. How would you start with that process?
Thank you for that question. That's like my bread and butter. So we are developing a product, Actor.io, which is an API security platform. How do you know about your API assets, right? It's the first question that all of our customers ask, or we asked when we started building Actor. There are multiple ways. Currently, the best way to do it is by reading the traffic. If I can get hooked to your staging or production traffic, and I read the traffic and understand what all, I can actually create inventory of all your APIs, public, private, third party, all the APIs. That's the best way to do it today. The other ways that we are exploring is also how can you detect APIs through just code? We can detect, the URL. In fact, request response also, you can create sort of a Swagger file. But it's very hard to get, you can't get actual traffic, actual values of those API traffic. So yeah, API traffic is the best way, getting a hook into your staging or production environment.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Ankita. We really appreciate it. Please give us a round of applause.